This is like a miracle story that a survivor has been found. I hope the other people also survive who have been severely injured in this crash. But let's wait for a final word from the hospital. There are many strands of this story. I'm also joined by Martin, CEO, MartinConsulting, an aviation expert. Thank you, both of you. Now, let me straight away first go to Group Captain Jha. Sir, you know, there are a couple of stories here. There is a story of how do we decode the video. That's one part of it, which people have seen. There's also another story of the Dreamliner. And there's also another story of accountability of two players who dominate the air aviation. Boeing is one such player. I don't want to get into the story that has been published by NYT and others, but the fact of the matter is that they almost hushed up a case in context of 2018 and 2019 crashes. We'll take that up later. Sir, but your opening comments on my show on point, prima facie, when you looked at the visual for the first time, a couple of hours ago, what did you find?
I think, first of all, I can't hold my eyes getting slightly wet. I have been trying to do so. I have not been able to. My sincerity with all the families, condolences with all those who have lost their near and dear. But you have given us a great news. First time on your channel I have heard that at least there is one survivor who have survived this crash. Karthik, to be very frank, on the look of the first look, what is happening on the left side of your window, that the touchdown or the crash landing of the aircraft is not very drastic. It is a fairly controlled, descent, maybe loss of power that has caused this particular descent, because this is no place to descend into. And that too, when it is very close to the ground, you can see the nose up of the aircraft. That's the exact position when we keep the aircraft attitude at the time of landing. So that means a few things have been very clear cut here in this particular clip that you are seeing. Mind you, Karthikeyan, in most of the accidents that I have done the investigations, this particular informations of the last few seconds are very difficult to come. The witness who are there are unreliable. Their versions of the aircraft, explosion in air or something, blah, blah, has been all very difficult to sustain that. So this picture, what we are seeing, the video small clip, it tells us a lot. I'll start, if you can give me some time, I'll start with the beginning. Any of the transport aircraft, you must have also traveled so many times. We first take the aircraft to the shoulder of the runway from where we are going to take off. Just short of entering the runway, we stop it there for a couple of minutes. The second pilot and the pilot, they do all counting of all instruments that it is serviceable. Then we come back onto the runway and line up for the takeoff. Put the aircraft on the brake, again do all countings, raise the throttle, raise the RPM. And at that RPM, when the engine is bursting, aircraft is vibrating, again check all those crucial engine parameters and some other parameters. When it is normal, then only you release the brake and the aircraft goes for the takeoff roll. Somewhere half of the runway, you get the V1 where you are thinking of unsticking the aircraft and taking off. All those things have happened here in the normal. There is no information from the pilot to say that it was abnormal. Now, aircraft has taken off. It has gone to about 200 meters above the ground level, about 600 feet, that information we have gathered on. That's no place from where the engine should have in loss of thrust. And both engines simultaneously, it bogs me down. In history, there have been both engines losses of the thrust in flight simultaneously, but there are only few to explain, and that too there are many other variables which have come into play. So that is one area that the investigators will have to see, why loss of power in both engines. Had even one engine existed, this particular engine is so powerful that pilot could have taken a roundabout and come back for landing in the emergency and landed the aircraft safely. All those things were here. So this is one part of it. Secondly, pilot has given a call for the SOS or Mayday. That means he is unable to continue with the flight. And we are also seeing his inability, that he has not been able to sustain the altitude, even if he is trying to find out some, say, safe place or the plain area where he can land the aeroplane in that landing position. So I'll just finish it here. So these are the few clues which will be crucial to the investigator, which on the first look, it gives me some clue that the pilot was in control of the plane till the last moment. And of course, there will be CVR, cockpit voice recorder, there will be black box that will be telling you a lot of story, but that is subsequently. Right now, this particular case is as it is looking to you. The pilot was in control of the aircraft. Aircraft has not supported, engines have not supported the aircraft. There have been loss of power. Karthik.
Okay, the point you're making, sir, is that it looks that there was loss of power. Let me straight away go to Mr. Martin. Sir, thank you so much for joining me on my show. Your opening comments on the tragedy, sir.
Karthik, thanks so much for having me. And a tragic black day for global aviation. The last time we ever saw a catastrophic air disaster like this is September 11, when an aircraft was used as a terror weapon. I think it's very important. I respect what Group Captain Jha has said, but I'd like to state one thing, that we should not speculate. At this stage, it could be anything. It could be power assurance, like what Mr. Jha said. Maybe the crew did not get power. We also could look at how the flaps were fully retracted and the gear down, so lift was not achieved. The possibilities are endless. It could be, it could be anything. And I think it's very important, Karthik, that we respect the dead. The pilot was a super qualified guy, 10,000 hours of experience. So was the co-pilot. The crew's no more. I know we found one survivor. His statements will be very relevant. But the sad part is, out there are people mourning the loss of a loved one. The pilots have perished, and their families are mourning. So please, let's not speculate. If you really wanna express passion over here and venge our anger and outburst, then we should stress that the government starts an investigation immediately into this. The CBR, the DFDR, the CVR, all parts of every element of the investigation should be brought together, and we should find out why this crash occurred. Because I'll tell you one thing. This is the first time ever a 7879 Dreamliner has had such a catastrophic event, and the world is now looking down on India. This investigation will also have an EASA representative. It'll have an FAA representative. It'll have the NTSB, the DGCA, the CAAC. So I think clearly what we need to do is, everyone can have a hypothesis, everyone can have a view. As an investigator myself, unless I see the evidence and establish what happened, everything is hearsay. And the unfortunate part is, I'd really like to urge all those out there to please not speculate. Let's wait for the investigation to come out. Everyone have a respect to their views. I respect your views as an aviation investigator myself.
My question to Martin, you see, I respect your view, but there are people who would like to know, what does this picture represent? There are people who would like to know from the experts, what do you make of it? And those are legitimate questions, sir.
I fully appreciate it, but I'm not going to toe the line of speculation. We can talk about a hypothesis.
No, so my question to you, Martin, is what do you make of this video?
Well, from what we see clearly, this guy was, he couldn't continue flight. He didn't have power assurance. He tried for MCT, maximum continuous thrust. He lost lift. We don't know why. They just didn't give him the takeoff thrust and continuous climb thrust he wanted. We don't know. And it could be anything. There's a hypothesis of bird strike, but bird strike never occurs at 500 feet. Bird strike only occurs especially in Ahmedabad, because when I was in SpiceJet, we had about 8 or 9 bird strike incidents, but those happen at about 1,000, 2,000 feet with vultures and those kind of large birds that damage the whole aircraft. So clearly we don't know, and I'm not going to speculate, and I would really like that we don't speculate. Yes, it's tragic. Yes, it's unfortunate. Everybody needs to get involved. But, if you want me to speculate, that's not what I'm going to do, because, I come from a family of pilots. My dad was a pilot. My granddad was a pilot. My dad was in the Air Force. My dad had a helicopter incident in the Air Force. And, the more we speculate, the more we try and finger point, it does nobody any good, because guess what? Those guys who were there in the cockpit are dead. We don't know what they did, but they did everything to save their life and the life of 250 people on board. And I don't think you and I and anybody here on this forum should stand up and criticize and comment on what they did and what they didn't do. I believe as an aviation professional, let's wait for that investigation to come out. I know everybody, including you, Karthikeyan.
The pic loop of the survivor, one person has survived. This is the pic loop of the survivor. As we said, one person has survived. This is the photograph that has come. He is the survivor. Now let me straight away go to Air Marshal Sanjeev Kapoor, former Chief Flight Safety, Indian Air Force. Sir, thank you so much for joining me, sir. Your opening comments on the show.